You know how love stories in Hollywood always feel like a fairy tale until suddenly they don't. One minute it's red carpets, vacations, smiling pictures everywhere, and people saying, "Wow, they're perfect together." And then suddenly, silence. Confusion. People start guessing. Fans start asking, "Wait, what happened? Was it real? Did something go wrong?" It feels like one day, everything's fine, and the next, nobody knows anything. That's kind of what happened with Orlando Bloom and Katy Perry. For months, people have been wondering about them. Their relationship always looked magical on the outside. They were one of those couples you'd look at and think, they're made for each other. But then, out of nowhere, the rumors started. Breakup whispers. Fans noticing fewer appearances together. And now, Orlando Bloom has finally broken his silence. He's sharing what really went on, and honestly, what he revealed is something a lot of us can relate to, even if we're not famous. Let's take it back for a moment. Orlando and Katy's love story wasn't just about glamour. Sure, they had the red carpets, the stunning vacations, and all those Hollywood moments. But they also had these simple, playful times that made people fall in love with them as a couple. Do you remember those pictures of them riding bikes together? Or the beach moments where they just looked like two people having fun, not two superstars? Those little glimpses made fans say, "They're just like us." It made their relationship feel more real, more down to earth. And maybe that's why so many people rooted for them. But behind all those smiles and all that sparkle, things weren't always smooth. Orlando recently admitted that being in a relationship with someone just as famous as him was harder than people think. And when you really think about it, it makes sense. Imagine trying to have a private life when the whole world is watching. Imagine trying to sit down and talk things through with someone you love, but it feels like you're doing it in front of a stadium filled with fans yelling their opinions. That's how he described it, like trying to have something private in a space that's never quiet. That doesn't sound easy at all. And then there's the reality of their work. Katy Perry isn't just a singer, she's a global superstar. That means world tours, endless studio sessions, rehearsals, press events, photo shoots, brand deals, you name it. Her schedule is packed to the brim. Orlando, on the other hand, has his acting career, which means long shoots in faraway places, sometimes for months at a time. Think about it, two people, always moving, always working, always in demand. Sometimes their paths lined up, but a lot of times, they didn't. And that takes a toll. Orlando shared something that hit a lot of people right in the heart. He said love alone isn't always enough. And when you hear that, you stop for a moment, don't you? Because how many times have we heard, love conquers all, or, if you love someone, you can make it work? But the truth is, life is more complicated than that. Sometimes you love someone deeply, but the timing is off. Or your goals don't match. Or your lifestyles pull you in different directions. And that doesn't mean the love wasn't real. It just means life can get in the way. And that's exactly what Orlando was saying. Now, here's something interesting. Relationship experts often say that the hardest part of high-profile relationships isn't passion, and it isn't loyalty. It's balance. When both people are chasing big dreams, putting in endless hours, and giving so much of themselves to the world, the relationship can sometimes end up taking second place. And when that happens, cracks start to show. One therapist put it in such a simple way. They said, love is the spark, but alignment is the fuel. Without alignment, without two people moving in the same direction, that spark burns out, no matter how strong it feels in the beginning. And that's exactly what Orlando hinted at. What's really refreshing in all of this is the way Orlando chose to speak about it. He wasn't bitter. He wasn't angry. He didn't throw around blame or try to stir up drama. He didn't sit there saying, "She did this," or "It's her fault." None of that. Instead, he spoke with honesty, with respect, and with this kind of calm acceptance that you don't see very often. He basically admitted something that's hard for a lot of people to say out loud, that sometimes, two people can love each other, but still come to the realization that the best way forward is to go their separate ways. And that's a really tough truth to face. Even harder when you're doing it in the spotlight, with millions of people watching and waiting to pick apart every little detail. When you think about it, most of the time when a Hollywood breakup makes headlines, what do you see? It's almost always messy. But with Orlando and Katy, it feels different. It doesn't feel like scandal. It feels human. And that's the word that keeps coming back, human. It's not about pointing fingers or creating a headline that sells. It's about acceptance. It's about maturity. It's about realizing that love doesn't always last forever, and that's okay. Sometimes, love comes into our lives to teach us something. It shows us joy, it teaches us lessons, it makes us grow, and then, when its time is up, it leaves. That doesn't make it less important. That doesn't erase what it was. It just means that love served its purpose, and now it's time to move forward. And honestly, seeing someone like Orlando talk about it with so much calmness and respect is rare. We're so used to drama that when we don't get it, it almost surprises us. But maybe that's the point. Maybe it reminds us that love and heartbreak don't always have to be loud and messy. Sometimes, they can be quiet. Sometimes, they can be graceful. Sometimes, they can simply be two people choosing to accept reality. Now, let's stop for a second and really think about this bigger idea, this question that sits at the center of so many relationships: is love enough? That's the kind of question that makes you pause. Because we grow up hearing all these stories, right? Fairy tales where love conquers all. Movies where no matter what obstacles the couple faces, their love sees them through. Songs that tell us if you've got love, you've got everything. It's beautiful to believe that. It's comforting. But when you've actually lived through relationships, you realize that real life isn't that simple. Love is beautiful. Love is powerful. Love is necessary. But love alone doesn't solve problems. Love doesn't handle crazy schedules. Love doesn't manage long distance. Love doesn't fix two people who want different things out of life. Love doesn't automatically create alignment. All those things take work. They take communication. They take compromise. They take timing. And they take a lot of effort. And sometimes, no matter how strong the love is, the other pieces just don't fall into place. That's when things start to crack. Think about it like this. Imagine you and someone you care deeply about are standing side by side, holding hands. The love is there. You're connected. But if one person is walking east and the other is walking west, that love is going to get stretched thin. The bond can't hold if you're not walking in the same direction. And eventually, something has to give. That doesn't mean you didn't love each other. That's what Orlando was really saying. He wasn't denying the love. He wasn't saying it wasn't real. He was saying that love by itself wasn't enough to keep them together with the lives they were living. And when you think about it that way, it makes so much sense. He and Katy both have massive careers. They have schedules that would overwhelm just about anyone. And they were constantly moving, constantly working, constantly giving so much of themselves to the world. Where do you find balance in that? Where do you find the quiet, steady space to just be with each other? Now, here's the part that I think really stands out. Just because something ends, it doesn't mean it failed. We have this tendency to look at breakups and think, oh, they couldn't make it work, so it was a failure. But Orlando didn't see it that way. He didn't talk about it as some huge disaster. He spoke about it as part of life, as part of growth. And maybe that's something we can all take with us. Not every ending has to be ugly. Not every breakup has to be a tragedy. Sometimes, an ending is just the natural conclusion to a chapter. And sometimes, endings are really just new beginnings in disguise. Think about the times in your own life where something ended, a job, a friendship, a relationship, and at first, it felt like a loss. It hurt. But later, you realized it opened the door for something new. That's what this feels like. It's not about failing. It's about moving forward. It's about respecting what was and allowing yourself to step into what's next. So let me throw this question to you. Do you think love by itself is enough to make a relationship last? Or do you believe that timing, alignment, and circumstances matter just as much, maybe even more? Because honestly, I think we've all lived through moments that show us the truth. Maybe you loved someone deeply, but your worlds just didn't line up. Maybe you cared so much, but your timing was off. Maybe you realized that love was there, but it wasn't enough to build a future on. If you've ever been in that situation, then you know exactly what Orlando was talking about. And that's why this story matters. It's not just about two celebrities whose relationship didn't work out. It's about something that's universal. It's about love. It's about timing. It's about how messy life can get. And it's about how even the people who seem to have it all figured out deal with the same struggles we do. Fame and fortune don't protect you from heartbreak. They don't magically give you alignment. In the end, relationships are hard for everyone, whether you're in Hollywood or not. And maybe that's the part we can all connect to. Maybe that's the reminder we all need. That love is amazing, but it's not always enough. That timing matters. That compromise matters. That life sometimes pulls us in directions we don't expect. And that's okay. So what about you? What do you think? Is love really enough? Or do you believe it takes more than that? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your experiences. Share your lessons. Because these conversations, the honest ones, are how we all grow. We learn from each other. We see our own stories reflected in someone else's. And that makes us feel less alone. And if you want to hear more stories like this, about how celebrities balance love, fame, and life, make sure to check out the next video here on the channel. There are some eye-opening stories that you don't want to miss. And before you go, if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button. It really helps out. And if you haven't already, subscribe, because we've got more stories coming your way soon, and trust me, they'll keep you thinking. At the end of the day, love stories don't always end the way we imagine. Sometimes they last forever. Sometimes they end quietly. But no matter how they end, they always teach us something. And maybe the hardest lessons, the ones that come with heartbreak, are the lessons that help us grow the most.